The wall sit. The wall sit is a great introductory squat exercise to help teach you how to utilize creating tension, or how to utilize the glutes, the hamstrings, the quads in going into a squatted position or lower body exercise. Now, I'm going to show you guys a couple different tips to either make them harder or to improve what you can get out of it, so it's not just you sitting there. Now, you want to pay attention to what you're doing in the exercise. We want to be about shoulder width apart. If you have really long legs, maybe even a little bit wider, but you want to be able to sit into a 90-degree position of flexion at the hip and at the knee. You want to make sure that you keep your knee tracking straight down your foot. You don't want it to drop in, and you hold consistently tension in the glutes and the hamstrings. The quads will just flare off themselves, but the better you can contract that yourself, the better you'll do in the exercise. I'm going to give you a couple tips while we're doing this, or while I'm showing you this. One thing we want to do is make sure that we don't overextend the back when we sit against the wall. So the feet are going to come forward. You're going to go ahead and make sure that they're straight ahead, where I'm going to sit down, try to be in that 90-90 kind of position between the hip and the knee. I may need to make it a little adjustment in doing so. So here I try to actually keep my low back flat against the wall. I squeeze my glutes really tight, and then to improve overall posture, I'll put my fingers behind my head and try to draw my elbows back against the wall. So this would be your basic position holding here. So a couple of things that may come through. A lot of times people just go into the position to just try to hold as long as they can. This is good because this is some good mental conditioning to help you improve how well you can tolerate pain. But oftentimes we'll be lost in what we're really trying to get out of the exercise. When we go into a good squat, we should be able to utilize the hamstrings to our advantage, because those make a big difference in the position of our hip and being able to stay more upright. So one thing that we can do to make sure we can really feel the hamstrings working well is when we go in to sit into the squat, that once I'm here, I'm going to squeeze my glute, and I'm going to act like I'm going to try to drag my heel back towards the wall. You know, it's not going to happen, but you'll see how my hip actually pulls forward from the wall a little bit. I don't want it to really pull all the way forward from the wall. I'm just going to pull it a little bit, the hamstring, to where it pulls the hip to where it's lightly touching the wall, and then keeping that tension. You'll feel where those glutes are actually tied into the hamstrings, and you're utilizing the hamstrings to squat. Because if I was going to sit into a squat, if I'm upright, I'm utilizing my hamstrings pretty well, and I've got good ankle mobility. If I sit back, I'm really not utilizing my hamstrings at all. If you get really good at that, then you can utilize a mini loop band, or like I have for a lot of my athletes, the hip circle, where we can put it just above the knees. And when we do this, we aim for those same positions. We're fighting the band the entire time, so you're going to get a lot more squeeze out of the glute. So those of you that are looking for glute exercises, this is probably one of the best ones that you can start off with. And then when I sit down into my position, shoulders, feet shoulder width apart, I'm going to go straight against the wall. I'm going to do that same thing where I fight the band, and I'm going to try to squeeze those hamstrings to where it wants to pull the hip forward a little bit, and then hold that position. So if I put this below my knee, it'll actually make this harder because it's further from the hip. So when you're talking about leverage, you're going to actually increase or decrease the amount of torque you can produce through a longer lever. Now, I set it below, makes it harder to spread the band apart. I have to utilize the side of the hip a lot more, and then still sit down, nice and tall, squeeze, open, fire off those hamstrings. Really try to make a mental effort to do so, and try to be able to hold that position, hopefully for about a minute at a time for a set, which is a really long time. I've got some athletes that can actually hold for about 3 minutes, which is crazy. I don't do that myself because I'm older and I don't need to worry about being in as good of shape as they do. But this is one of your best ways to introduce yourself into squatting and squatting